Welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast. My name is Madi and today we'll be joined by my co-host Bet, and it's great to have you join us for this episode.
Yes, hello listeners, and hello Maddie, and welcome to episode number 161 today. And Maddie, what are we talking about on Arsenal Kids Podcast this time around?
Well, in part one, we will look at the men's team Premier League victory over Man U.
Man who?
Exactly, Man who. And the team were 2-0 victory this time around. And then in part two,
let's look at how our women's team players have gone on international duty for their countries.
And I will share more of my experiences as a mascot for the Matildas game against Brazil.
Sounds great, but before we get into it, a quick reminder, we would love for you to help us to grow our Arsenal Kids community, so please share our podcast with others.
We would love for you to join us on this venture together.
We would indeed, and Maddie, in what was the 500th competitive men's game at Emirates Stadium since our home ground opened in 2006, Mikel Arteta, our manager, made 4 changes from our previous outing. Most notably that Alexander Zinchenko started his first Premier League game since the first game of the season, and Jakub Kiwior started at centre-half, with both Gabriel and Calafiore missing the game due to injury.
And our team had the early chances.
We did, despite bagging 13 goals in our past 3 games. We needed to be patient as Manchester United new head coach Ruben Amorim had the team well organised. But despite that, we did have those early chances, and indeed the ball in the back of the net after only a couple of minutes. But it was flagged for offside, and VAR confirmed the on-field decision, as Kai Havertz was behind the last defender before he teed up Gabriel Martinelli. We then had another huge chance that fell to Thomas Partey when Rice found him all alone from a corner, but the Ghanaian miscued his header completely and managed to not even register an attempt on target, as the ball skewed wide when it seemed like it would have almost been easier for him to score.
But the set piece continued to cause concern for the away team.
And on 25 minutes, one of them dropped out to Zinchenko, who saw a shot blocked, and then Martinelli hooked the rebound, which fell to him wide when you feel he should have done a bit better. But the first half, it lacked goalmouth action from both sides, with the visitors in particular looking and playing cautiously, like a side who had registered just 1 win from their previous 8 away games. It took United actually 41 minutes to even have a shot, but it was a close one that whistled just wide of David Raya's far post.
That was the best chance of the opening half, but we came out with more venom in the second half and took just 8 minutes to get ahead.
And once again, it was from a set-piece delivery where we did the damage. After we won a corner, Declan Rice whipped the ball towards the front post, and despite 2 defenders, Yuri and Timber managed to sneak between them and get a faint but crucial touch onto the cross to knock the ball into the net and score his very first goal for the Gunners. Rice then nearly repeated the trick. This time the touch came off a defender, but it was cleared off the line to save that United player's blushes.
But our lead was slim, and we had our goalkeeper to thank for keeping us in front.
David Raya, he came up trumps by adding another top draw save to his collection. This one was from a free kick needlessly given away by Zinchenko, and the United player's shot was headed for the top corner until our shot stopper dived full stretch and pushed it away.
But 5 minutes later, we were able to get a second goal off the board.
And once again, it was a corner kick that was the weapon of choice. This time, Bukayo Saka swung one over to the back post where Thomas Partey was lurking. He headed the ball back into the danger area, and it struck Saliba.
I call this on the bottom goal.
Yep, it was on the bottom, and from there the ball nestled into the net to make the score 2-0, with Arsenal making it 22 goals scored from corners since the beginning of last season. It had the United players fearing for the worst when we were granted even more corners that struggled to be defended effectively by United. One led to a golden chance to Mikel Merino, but he steered it wide on this occasion. It means that we tasted victory in our 500th Emirates Stadium game, and it leaves us in third place on the Premier League table now, just 7 points behind the leaders, Liverpool.
And next up for the team, Ben?
Next up, Maddie, for the team is another Premier League game against almost a ex-Arsenal Fulham, who I think have 3 or is it 4 ex-Arsenal players on their books, and we're going to be facing them in the Premier League this weekend.
Okay, well, let's leave it there for part number 1, and we'll be right back after this for part number 2. Welcome back, Ben. And let's get straight to looking at the women's on international duty.
Starting with Rosa Kafaji, who scored 8 minutes after coming on as a substitute for Sweden, as they defeated Serbia 2-0. England and the USA played a friendly that ended 0-0, with Leah Williamson, Alessia Russo, Beth Mead and Emily Fox all playing the full 90 minutes. Mariona Caldente and Laia Codina both also started Spain's 5-0 friendly win against South Korea.
Katie McKay played the full game in Ireland, 1-1 draw with Wales.
She did. Frida Mornan played 90 minutes in Norway's 4-0 win against Northern Ireland. Zinsberger played in goal for Austria in their 1-0 defeat against Poland. And we also had 5 players in the Under-19 England game as they began their qualification process for the Euro Under-19 Championships next year.
In the second set of games, there was mixed emotions for our players in competitive action.
Yes, Frida Mornham was one of Norway's 3 goal scorers as they dispatched Northern Ireland to officially book their place at the upcoming Euro 2025 Women's Championships. Sweden thrashed Serbia 8-0 with Stina Blackstenius scoring a brace along the way to book their spot as well.
But it was heartbreak for Katie McCabe and Ireland.
It was, as they lost 2-1 to Wales, and they're not going to be taking part in the competition. And Poland again defeated Lara Weinreuter and Manuela Zinsberger's Austria, meaning that they too have been knocked out this time around.
We also have had more players involved in the friendly action.
We did, with Mariona Caldente picking up a goal and an assist for Spain, with Laia Codina playing the full 90 again as they defeated France 4-2. And then Emily Fox and Daphne Van Domselaar went head-to-head as the US defeated the Dutch 2-1, with both of our gunners playing the full 90. Katrin Kuhl also played for Denmark and provided an assist as they defeated Iceland 2-0. And Lionesses Beth Mead and Alessia Russo were second-half subs as England defeated Switzerland 1-0. And Maddie, now then to our Australian Matildas, who played against Brazil here in southeast Queensland. The first game in Brisbane and the second on the Gold Coast. And in the first game, you were called up to be a mascot for the teams as they ran out onto the ground. So tell us a little bit more about your experience.
Well, we got there early and changed into the kits they wanted us to wear. I was allocated to the Brazil team and I walked out with number 13. She was really fun though.
Which was Fair Palermo.
And we got to see the Australian players that were there. And I even got a hug from Steph Catley. But it was a lot of fun and I got to be on TV. And I was even on the highlights package.
You were, and a big thanks to those who sent in videos of Maddie being on the broadcast. It was a great game, and in terms of Arsenal involvement, we had Steph Catley, Cairo Cooneycross and Caitlin Ford all starting the first game, and Caitlin Ford scored just before halftime in what was a fiery affair, as the Aussies eventually lost 3-1 with a red card in the game, an indication of the heat and intensity, as it was just supposedly a friendly.
And then, in the second game, the Australian side lost again. But this time it was 2-1.
Steph Catley was withdrawn prior to the game, but she did have enough time to come past at the end of the game for a selfie and an autograph on Madi's shirt, so a big shout out to Steph. Kyra, she did start, as did Caitlin Ford, who assisted for the only Australian goal in this match, but let's hope that Steph's injury isn't too serious, because it was great to have the Matildas for the first time playing in Queensland since the World Cup last year, so it was great to be able to see them in person once again.
Yes, it was. Well, let's wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again for joining us at Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Before we sign off, we want to express our gratitude for your continued support. Next episode, we'll cover off our upcoming games for both the men's and women's teams. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you don't miss us in the future, because remember, your love for the beautiful game, that's what fuels our passion.
And we would love for you to spread the word about Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Yes, please share our podcast with other Arsenal kids you know and help us to grow this amazing community together.
I hope to see you back on the pitch again soon.
Keep the spirit of the game alive, and until next time,
Goodbye.